And as you are doing that, okay, I see Miss Alexander is here. Okay, great. Go ahead.
Commissioner Atkins.
Present.
Commissioner Miller.
Present.
Commissioner Fan. Commissioner McKnight. Commissioner McKnight.
Commissioner McKnight, I think you're still on mute.
Commissioner Lovett. Commissioner Joseph Fields. Commissioner Mark Fields.
Present.
Commissioner Joel Presley.
I'm here. How you doing?
Good. Commissioner Bryant. Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Okay, I only counted 4 who said present. That was Miller, that was M. Fields, that was Presley. And so with myself, that's only 4, and so we would lack a quorum, but I'm almost certain that Commissioner McKnight is here. And Commissioner McKnight, if you can hear me, would you please unmute? Okay, Commissioner McKnight is saying that she can't hear anything. That's what she's saying in the chat. Are you able to unmute? Let's see if we send her a chat back so that we can get here. I need for Ms. Alexander to have her voice as a part of the record. All right, just sent her a chat. Let's see. She still is not unmuted. Ms. Wiggins, as our attorney, I'm believing that in order to make sure that we have our record perfected and so that the minutes are correct, that we would need to hear the voice of Commissioner McKnight to count her as present so that all of those things are aligned with our record. Is that also your thought?
Even more than that, Chair, I think that she can't participate in the meeting if she can't hear anything, right? That's the biggest piece. So no, technically she's not here because she can't hear anything.
That is correct, and she has not responded. Let's see here. I'm sending her a message now via chat. I don't type very fast, so please bear with me. Receive my message.
She left the meeting, so maybe she's going to rejoin.
Going back, yeah. Okay, yes.
Hey, can you all hear me? Is this thing on?
We can hear you. Can you hear us okay?
I can, thanks. I have an entertaining couple of problems logging on tonight.
Okay, very well. It looks like we will have a quorum. It looks like Commissioner Lovett has also joined and perhaps Commissioner Bryant as well. Hello, Commissioner Lovett. Can you hear us, Commissioner Lovett? We can't hear you. Can you say something? No, we cannot hear you. It seems that we are having some technical difficulties. Would you mind logging off and logging back in and seeing if that corrects the issue? Commissioner McKnight, can you unmute?
Okay, you want me to log out?
No, we can hear you now. Just stand by for just 1 second. Commissioner Bryant, is that you at 5050? Could you please unmute?
Hi, Commissioner Atkins. This is Harold Buckley. That's me at that phone number.
Okay, that is. I recognize that now. Okay. All right, so we've got Commissioner Lovett. Commissioner McKnight, can you hear us? Okay, there's a Commissioner McKnight that shows up on the screen.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Yes. Stand by for us just 1 second, Commissioner Lovett, please. Okay, let me send Gina. We will have a quorum with Commissioner McKnight, with Commissioner Lovett, but let me send Gina a message. Okay. All right, looks like something just popped up. Okay. Commissioner McKnight, can you unmute?
Hey, I can hear you and see
okay,
you now.
Perfect. Okay, perfect. Mr. Austin, would you please do me a favor, and I'm going to ask for roll call to be sounded again, so that
No problem. Commissioner Atkins.
Present.
Commissioner Miller.
Present.
Commissioner Fan. Commissioner McKnight.
Present.
Commissioner Lovett.
Present.
Commissioner Joseph Fields. Commissioner Mark Fields.
Present.
Commissioner Joel Presley. Commissioner Presley, you're muted.
Commissioner Presley, can you please unmute?
Commissioner Bryant.
I apologize about that. I'm here, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, that is Commissioner Presley. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Austin.
And Commissioner Bryant.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, we do have a confirmed quorum.
All right, thank you so very much. Would you also then do us a favor of posting the agenda? Commissioners, at this time, we will observe a moment of silence. And as we do so, I would just ask all of us, commissioner, staff, and attendees of our planning and zoning meeting to reflect on the disruption of life and the death and the tragic and trauma that is happening in Ukraine and in other parts of the world, because that is not the only place that it happens. But at this time, if you would join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Commissioners, at this time, I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Motion to adopt the agenda as printed. as
Is
printed.
is there a
Second.
second? It's been moved by Commissioner Lovett, seconded by Commissioner Miller, that we adopt our agenda as printed. All in favor, sound aye.
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 All opposed, sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The agenda is adopted. Commissioners, at this time, I will entertain a motion to approve our February 17th meeting minutes.
Mr.
Motion to
Chair.
approve the February 17th meeting minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Lovett, that we approve our February 17th meeting minutes. All in favor, sound aye.
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 All opposed, sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. Our February 17 meeting minutes are approved. Commissioners, there's no old business for this evening, so we will then move forward with our new business. And this evening, we've got 3 cases under new business. For our new commissioners, tonight that will be Commissioner Mark Fields and Commissioner Presley. What I will share with you regarding the cases that we have before us. The first case is an amendment that is a text amendment. This body is not the final arbiter for text amendments. And so if you so desire to make a motion regarding a text amendment, your motion should be stated in the form of a recommendation. For our second agenda item, which is a variance, this body is the final arbiter for variances, so a recommendation is not necessary. You may simply say, I move that we approve, or I move that we deny, or whatever it is that your motion will be. A recommendation is not required. Our third case is a concurrent variance because it is a rezoning and a concurrent variance. Although there's a variance component to this, there is also, more importantly, a rezoning aspect to this. So this particular case would also need to move forward to our legislative body. Any motion for this case will need to be made in the form of a recommendation. At this time, I'll move to our first case, which is 2022. C as in caps and P as in Paul, A as in Apple -001-02. Staff, would you please sound the caption for this agenda item?
Director Smith, are you there? Were you able to log on?
Chair, I'm here.
Staff, would you please sound the caption for this agenda item, case number 1?
Case number 2022 CPA-001-02, the applicant is City East Point. The location citywide amendment to City of East Point's Comprehensive Plan 2017, Community Goals Section to incorporate the Willingham Corridor Study. This case is an amendment.
Okay, thank you. This agenda item, as well as the other 2, will require a public hearing. At this time, I will read our rules for public hearings, and then I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing. Before I do that, I would like to recognize that we have been joined by Commissioner Joseph Fields. Commissioner Fields, would you please unmute and sound present for the record?
Present.
Thank you so
logging in. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. As we continue to meet virtually due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we're utilizing this telemeeting platform to act upon planning and zoning cases that come before this commission. As such, I'm asking each participant, other than commissioners and staff, to mute their devices. Once we get to parts of the agenda that require public input, those who have notified staff of their desire to speak will be recognized to speak. If you did not notify staff but do desire to speak, please use the raise hand or chat function to be recognized. Public hearings before the Planning and Zoning Commission shall be conducted in accordance with Section 10-2219 of the East Point Zoning Code and Development Regulations. Public hearing rules are as follows. Persons both favoring and opposing the proposed case will be provided an opportunity to address the commission. The applicant or the applicant's representative, if any, will be entitled to speak first, followed by speakers in favor of the proposal for a total of 15 minutes. Those who oppose the proposed zoning case would then be permitted to speak for a total of 15 minutes. By majority vote, the commission may increase the total time of speakers, provided that each side is given the same amount of time. If there's more than one speaker for a side, the chair or the presiding officer may limit the time allotted to each individual speaker other than the zoning applicant. The zoning applicant may reserve a portion of his or her allotted time for rebuttal. Speakers must adhere to the rules of decorum. Prior to speaking, each speaker shall state his or her first name, state his or her current address, and each speaker shall speak only to the merits of the proposed zoning ordinance under consideration. shall address remarks only to the commission and shall refrain from making personal attacks on any other speaker. The presiding officer may refuse the speaker the right to continue if, after first being cautioned, the speaker continues to violate the rules of the quorum. Ladies and gentlemen, these are our rules for public hearings. Commissioners, at this time, I entertain a motion to open the public hearing for case number 2022, C as in Charlie, P as in Paul, A as in Apple, dash 001-02. Is that correct?
Yes.
Dash 001-02. Excellent. Commissioners, at this time, I entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we open the public hearing.
Is there a second?
In the protocol. I motion that, Mr. Chairman, I motion that we entertain a motion to open the public hearing as stated in protocol.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Presley, seconded by Commissioner Lovett, that we open the public hearing for case number 2022, C as in Charlie, P as in Paul, A as in Apple, -001-02. All in favor, sound aye.
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 Aye. All opposed, sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now open. The applicant is the city of East Point. So Director Smith, either you or someone on your team, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Chairman Atkins and fellow commissioners. In reference to this case this evening, I wanted to state that the staff is recommending that this item be deferred until the April agenda meeting. I did confirm today with John Tooley, who is the project manager for Kimley Horn. He will be available to give a full presentation that he presented to the other entities, Aerotropolis and City Council. And I feel that he will be able to do justice because I feel that I did not at the last meeting. So I wanted him to come and personally give the presentation and overview for this. And he agreed and confirmed.
Sure, no worries. Are there any other proponents here to speak in favor of this agenda item? Any other proponents here to speak in favor? Hearing none and seeing none. Are there any opponents here to speak against this agenda item? Any opponents here to speak against this agenda item? Hearing none and seeing none. Commissioners, at this time, I entertain a motion to close the public hearing for case number 2022. That's C as in Charlie, P as in Paul, A as in Apple, -001-02.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner McKnight, that we close the public hearing for this agenda item. All in favor, sound aye.
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 All opposed, sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. Commissioners, at this time, I'll entertain a motion on this agenda item. The city of East Point is the applicant. Director Smith has stated that the city would like to defer this to our regularly scheduled April meeting. And so at this time, I'll entertain a motion regarding this agenda item.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to defer to the April meeting.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner McKnight, seconded by Commissioner Lovett, that we defer this case to our regularly scheduled April meeting. All in favor, sound aye.
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 All opposed,
Aye.
sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. This body will defer this agenda item to our regularly scheduled April meeting. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Could you also put up your agenda so I may call out the second agenda item? Our next case is 2022 V as in Victor -001-01. Staff, would you please sound the caption for this agenda item?
Yes, Chairman, in reference to item number 2 under new business, case number 2022 V-001-01, the applicant Edwin and Cindy Wong. Location 2183 Ben Hill Road. The applicant seeks a variance from Article J, infill section of zoning ordinance to build home larger than allowed maximum square footage. Case type is a variance.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing for case number 2022 V as in Victor -001-01.
Motion to open the public hearing.
Go ahead.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Joseph Fields. So this body opens a public hearing for 2022 as in Victor -001-01. All in favor, sound aye.
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 Opposed, sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now open. Mr. or Mrs. Wong, are you present this evening? You're on mute, Mr. Wong.
Okay, can you hear now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Wong, do you have any materials, images that you've shared with staff that you'd like to be presented on the screen as you give your presentation to this body?
No. I think Anthony already have put in all the information. So I think those are quite sufficient.
Okay. Just to let you know how this goes, Mr. Wong, this is your opportunity to present your case to the body. Okay.
Yes.
So
yes.
You have the right to provide the commissioners any information that you would like for us to know so that we may vote on your case. The idea is that you're asking us to vote in favor of your case. Is that correct?
Okay. Yes.
Yes. So this is your opportunity to present us with that information. Should you choose not to speak, and should you then defer only to staff and they present, and this body votes in the way that it denies your application, you will not have the right to come back to say, well, I would have said this or I would have said that. This is your opportunity. This is why we have public hearings. So Mr. Wong, you present your case to this body, then we will move to the staff's recommendation. Is that understand? Do you understand that?
Understood.
Okay.
I understand.
So this is your opportunity to present your case to this body. Again, my question is, do you have any visuals that you have shared with staff that you would like for staff to post on the screen as you present your case to this body?
I do not have any additional information to provide on the screen at the moment.
Okay.
I think the information's been submitted is quite sufficient already. But I would explain my case as to why I want to enlarge it a little bit.
Yes, that is what this opportunity. That is what this opportunity is for. I think that perhaps you might be relying on the conversations that we had at the work session of last week.
Yes.
Okay, so let me just give you this bit of advice. All of the commissioners that may be present tonight may not have been present last week.
Okay.
That is why it is important for you to go over your presentation for the official record. Tonight is the official record where we will take action on your case. So the commissioners who will vote on your case, all of them may not have been here last week. So you're making an assumption that they were privy to your presentation and the conversation last week, which may not be true.
Okay, I understand. So some of the people at the meeting today, they were not available last time with their
Perhaps
meeting.
They were not.
Okay,
Perhaps
all right.
They were not. This is where we take official action on your case. And so that's why by law we have a public hearing, because it gives you, the applicant, an opportunity to present your case.
Yes, I understand.
So you can go ahead and present your case.
All right. I'm asking for a variance to increase the square footage of the building. That is primary due to something that is very oriental that I would like to explain. And that is something called feng shui. It is known as a Chinese geomancy. It is an ancient Chinese traditional practice that uses energy forces to harmonize individual with their surrounding environment. The term feng shui means literally winds and water. From ancient times, landscapes and bodies of water were thought to direct the flow of cosmic current or energy through places and structure. And because of this, cosmic energy has some pattern as wind and water. A specialist I have commissions who understand them have effectively can design the place that can affect the flow of energy to improve my health, my wealth, my happiness for not only myself and for whoever that resides in that residence and also in the surrounding area. So that was the entire design of the structure was based on a very careful calculations of my age, of my time of birth and date, and they incorporated with that particular environment. And then it was then suggested that I should build the house in such a manner that I would trap all of the positive forces, cosmic forces, to ensure harmony and peace of mind. That's all. And that's on the basis that I would like this house to be built in such a way that that would be bring the wellness, basically. I have presented my case.
Thank you, Mr. Moon. Are there any other proponents here to speak in favor of case number 20? I'm sorry, could you please mute? Are there any other proponents here to speak in favor of case number 2022 V as in Victor -001-01? It's a variance case. Any other proponents? Are there any opponents here to speak against case number 2022 V as in Victor -001-01? Hearing none and seeing none, commissioners, at this time I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Is there a second? Let us not all speak at once, Commissioner. There's a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner McKnight, that we close the public hearing for case number 2022 V as in Victor -001-01. All in favor sound aye.
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 All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now closed. Staff, would you please sound your recommendation?
Sir. So the applicant, case number 2022 V-001-01, located at 2183 Ben Hill Road. The applicant is Edwin and Cindy Wong. The property is currently zoned R1 single family. The applicant seeks a variance from the infill ordinance to build home larger than allowed maximum square footage. For those who weren't present last week, we did discuss what the infill is. The city does have an ordinance that is references adding additional square footage. Any additional square footage triggers what's known as a infill. And based on the application, which encompasses a survey area of 13 properties, the applicant is allowed to go up to 50% more. So if the average square foot of a home is 1,000 square feet, the largest the applicant will be able to build a home is 1,500. The footprint for infill homes shall be no greater than 50% larger than the average footprint of all homes within the survey area and shall be no smaller than 10% of the average footprint within the survey area. The applicant is asking to build a home at 2,440 square feet. Based off of their infill application, the maximum would be 2,289, which is why they are here today seeking, as Mr. Wong said, to create a feng shui balance for their house. They're asking for the variance to build a larger home. The property is currently zoned R1 single family residential and is the suburban residential future land use designation. And the applicant has provided a site plan showing what that house would look like, as well as some renderings that can be seen on the screen showing the exterior and the aerial of their proposed project, showing the courtyard that's also being proposed. For those who can see where my mouse is hovering, that's where their courtyard would be. And has proposed the current front and rear elevations, as well as a close-up of what they are proposing for their courtyard. The staff does recommend denial for the reason that as it stands, the property is allowed to be increased by 50% of what the average square foot of the homes are. The applicant wishes to exceed this and shows no topographical evidence that would hinder their ability to conform with the aforementioned regulation.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Alston. Commissioners, we've heard from the applicant and we've also heard from staff and as it relates to their recommendation. At this time, I'll entertain a motion for case number 2022 V as in Victor -001-01. Commissioners, let us not all speak at once.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the variance.
Okay, is there a second?
Mr. Chairman, I move also that we approve the variance.
Okay, Commissioner Presley, just for the record, you can't move. You can make a second for that, but we already have a primary motion on the floor. So if you could just state that you second the motion so that we can perfect the record, I would appreciate that.
Mr. Chairman, I second the motion. I apologize.
Okay, no worries at all. Commissioners, we have a motion on the floor made by Commissioner Miller that we approve case number 2022 V as in Victor -001-01. That motion has been seconded by Commissioner Presley. At this time, I'll take any comments, questions, or concerns. Okay.
Mr. Chair, I do have a question.
Sure, Commissioner Lovett, go ahead.
So in approving the variance, what would be the implication for the area where the increase is going to be? What would be the implications from staff's perspective? The impact.
I can answer that, I guess. So the applicant would be adding this to the rear of their home. And because the lot is so large, it really wouldn't have a negative impact on the property surrounding it. And they are asking to go from an allowed 2,289 square feet to 2,400 square feet. So it's a little under 200 square feet that they're asking to go to.
Yeah, I think last week when I did the calculation, it was
so they're increasing them by 111 square feet.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be a detriment to the public to increase that. It would just be them increasing it beyond what is allowed by the ordinance.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments, questions, or concerns? Commissioner Lovett, thank you for your question. Again, there's a motion on the floor made by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Presley, that this body approves case number 2022 V as in Victor -001-01. My only comment with this is we had a great discussion last week about this particular case. I strongly feel that this case is miscategorized. I do not believe that it's an infill case. It is, to me, a simple addition to a home. And so I think that the standards by which the applicant would be held are very different. So I'm hoping that when we, as a part of our ordinance rewrite, that we make sure that we flag this one as one that should require some work. And so there was a lot of discussion around this last week. And I think this is a simple addition to a home. I, in my estimation, firmly believe that an infill is a completely separate structure from the primary structure and not an addition to a primary structure. And so again, the motion is to approve. Motion is made by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Presley. If there are no other comments, questions, or concerns, commissioners, all in favor sound aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. Mr. Wong, this body has approved your request for variance for case number 2022 V as in Victor.
Thank you. I take note of this.
Thank you. Our next agenda item is case number 2022 R as in Robert, Z as in Zebra -001-02. Staff, would you please sound this agenda item?
Chairman Atkins, in reference to new business item number 3, case number 2022 RZ-001-02. The applicant is Clark Ventures. Property is located at 0 Red Wine Road, 140255 LL011. The applicant seeks to rezone property from C2C to R4 with a 4-part concurrent variance. Case type, rezoning with concurrent variance.
Thank you, Director Smith. Commissioners, at this time, I entertain a motion to open the public hearing for 2022 R as in Robert, Z as in Zebra -001-02.
Mr. Chair, motion to open the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Lovett, that we open the public hearing for case number 2022, R as in Robert, Z as in Zebra, -001-02. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now open. The applicant is the representative for Clark Ventures present this evening.
Yes, Mr. Chair, can you hear me?
I can. Is that Mr. Buckley?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Before I introduce myself, I just want to let the host know that I'm going to be sharing my screen as part of my presentation.
Okay.
I am Harold Buckley, 2849 Paces Ferry Road in Atlanta. I'm here before you this evening on behalf of Clark Ventures, and I have with me Josh Mudd from Clark Ventures. He was on the panelist side of the meeting, but I think he got moved back over to the attendees. To orient everyone to the site, I'll go ahead and start to share my screen. And you can see the site here in the aerial photo along the north side of Red Wine Road. This is the intersection of Red Wine and North Commerce Drive, and this is the Target Shopping Center and the BJ's Warehouse, just to make sure that everyone can visualize the property that we're talking about. What we are proposing is a downzoning of this property from commercial to multifamily residential for the purpose of facilitating the multifamily residential development that you see before you. This would be a very amenities-rich community. That when I say amenities-rich, it would be, I think, the most comprehensive amenities package in the city of East Point so far, in that it will have a fitness center, co-working spaces, a coffee bar and lounge area, an automated package locker system, so that if a resident received a package from Amazon or any other delivery, they could go and use their unique information to retrieve that package from the system. There will be a rooftop amenities deck and a resort-style swimming pool. We'll have a quarter-mile paved fitness trail, as well as an outdoor kitchen and entertainment area. We will have a dog park and a car wash on the site. So this really is, you know, and when I say amenities-rich, I mean amenities-rich. And in addition to what I've already said, we will have enclosed garages available for residents who would like to have them. Excuse me. When we presented last week at the work session, the commission asked a number of questions, and we have done some additional work to respond to them. One of the concerns was about stormwater. You can see on this version of the site plan the underground storage vaults that we talked about last week. This is one at the rear of the property that would be under the parking lot. And this is the second underground contained vault to hold stormwater here. We were asked about the points of entry into the building, and you can see those highlighted here and here, as well as this entry, this one here, here, and here. There would also be an entry on this side of the building, which would come from the pool deck. In terms of what that pool deck would look like, this is a photograph of another development that Clark Ventures has done, and it represents the level of quality that we propose for this facility. Also, we were asked about traffic. And we did some digging because we mentioned last week that the city of East Point had a road project that would be making improvements in this area. And we were able to uncover additional information showing that the city does indeed have a T-SPLOST project that, according to published information, is scheduled to break ground this spring. It could be any week now. That would involve an intersection improvement here at North Commerce and Red Wine. That would involve the addition of a traffic signal, as well as the addition of dedicated turn lanes for North Commerce Drive. There would also be improvements to Red Wine Road. Again, they would be consist of dedicated turn lanes and approaches, and that would go past our property. The other improvement that is planned for Red Wine is a sidewalk on the south side of the street, which is where my cursor is, and it would connect to North Commerce Drive to provide pedestrian facilities or pedestrian access from this direction to the community retail services in Camp Creek Marketplace. We are still working to confirm whether the sidewalk improvements would include a sidewalk along the north side of the road on our frontage. But we have agreed with staff that if that is not part of the city project, that we would be happy to install a sidewalk extension across the front of our property. And that brings us to the question regarding the materials that we would be using on our building facades. Last week, we indicated that we are looking at materials that consist of brick, stacked stone. We also were looking at cementitious materials like hardy plank and hardy board. And again, you can see the materials we are talking about. There was a suggestion that we quantify how much of each material we're going to use, but you know, we're really early in the design process. I mean, we're really still at the conceptual phase because it takes a lot of resources to get through this process. And so even just to get this far and get through the city council with what we have, you're talking about a $30,000 or $40,000 investment just in terms of the work that's been done already. But we have worked out a condition with the staff that highlights the materials that we're proposing and calls for the planning staff to approve our elevations prior to any application for building permit. So with that, I will cede the floor, and we are happy to respond to any questions that any of you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Buckley. Mr. Buckley, you had also mentioned that another member of the proponent team, Mr. Mudd, was present. Okay, I see Mr. Mudd. Are there any other proponents here to speak in favor of this case? Any other proponents here to speak in favor? Okay, are there any opponents here to speak against this zoning application? Any opponents here to speak against? Hearing none and seeing none, commissioners, at this time I entertain a motion to close the public hearing for 2022 R as in Robert, Z as in zebra, -001-02.
Motion to close public hearing.
Is there a second? Is this moved by, it's been moved by Commissioner Lovett, seconded by Commissioner Miller, that we close the public hearing for this agenda item. All in favor sound aye.
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 All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now closed. Staff, would you please sound your recommendation?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. Case number 2022-001-02, located at 0 Red Wine Road. The applicant is Clark Ventures. The zoning is currently central business commercial with conditions, and the applicant seeks to rezone from C2C to R4 multifamily with 4-part variance request. The property again is zone C2 with conditions, and the property is within the growing residential future land use designation. The applicant has showed you the site plan. It's the same one that we have on the screen, and has proposed a number of 120 one-bedroom units, 100 two-bedroom units, 15 three-bedroom units. Total parking spaces 366. They're proposing 10,000 square feet of interior amenity space featuring co-working spaces, fitness center, coffee bar, lounge, automated package locker system, rooftop amenity deck, resort swimming pool, quarter-mile paved fitness trail, outdoor kitchen, dog park, and car wash. Staff does recommend approval for the rezoning and variance request with the following conditions: that the applicant include a landscape plan to show enhanced landscaping, to include a lighting plan, that the development will include mix of brick, stone, and cementitious siding, provide plans that detail stormwater management system to be approved by City of East Point Stormwater Division, include sidewalk to extend from adjacent city of land to multifamily development, submit traffic study, provide impervious surface calculation, provide elevations and renderings, indicate where amenities will be located on site plan, that the architectural design will be submitted to the planning department for review and consideration, install decorative awnings over entrance to buildings which complement architectural style of building, pool and dog park that is proposed to be fenced in with locking gate.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Alston. Commissioners, we've heard from the applicant's representative, Mr. Harold Buckley. We've also heard staff's recommendation. At this time, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Miller.
I make a motion, I make a recommendation for approval with staff conditions.
Okay, as stated. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Lovett, that this body recommends approval with the conditions as stated by staff. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns? Okay, hearing none. I have one. Staff, could you please put the conditions back on the screen? I want to go specifically to condition number 3. Development will include mix of brick, stone, and cementous siding, period. And then my recommendation is, I would like to also say no vinyl siding allowed. So because even with the way that it's stated here, there could be vinyl siding with all of those other things and they would still meet the letter of this condition. So I explicitly would like to say no vinyl siding. And so I would like to have a commissioner, if there is one, that would make that a friendly amendment to the maker of the motion, who is Commissioner Miller.
Mr. Chair, do I make the friendly amendment?
You can say you would like to amend your motion to include the enhanced condition as stated by Chairman Atkins.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a modification to the recommendation I made to include the enhancements suggested by Commissioner Atkins.
Okay, and Commissioner Lovett, does your second still stand? You on mute?
Mr. Chair.
My second, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry, 1 second. Commissioner Lovett, go ahead, Ms. Wiggins.
Mr. Chair, so the way to do this is you have a motion to add your amendment. The board will then vote on adding the amendment to the first motion. If the vote to add the amendment to the motion passes, then your second vote is to vote on the entire motion with the amendment added.
Okay.
So Commissioner Lovett doesn't have to renew her second. It could be someone else that seconds or moves to add the amendment to the first motion.
Okay, and Ms. Wiggins, because I am presiding over the meeting, that is why I did not ask for a friendly amendment. And so,
understood.
Okay, and so what we'll do now is we will vote on adding the enhanced language to the condition. Is that correct? Is that a motion? I'll need a motion to add the enhanced language, correct?
To add the amendment to the first motion, because you're amending the staff conditions.
Correct. So this would then be a secondary motion to the primary motion, correct?
You got it. You got it.
Okay, great. So commissioners, at this time I entertain a secondary motion to add the language as stated to the conditions as presented by staff. Is there a motion, a secondary motion for that?
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we adopt secondary amendment to the original.
Okay, so is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there has been a motion to recommend, there's been a motion to adopt the language as added to the third condition as presented by staff made by Commissioner Presley, that has been seconded by Commissioner Miller. And at this time, we'll take comments, questions, or concerns. Ms. Wiggins, I also now at this time see that Director Smith has a hand raised. And so during this deliberative process, because there's a motion on the floor, there's a primary, now there's a secondary. And so the debate normally happens through the commissioners. So I guess I will have the ability to ask Ms. Director Smith of her question as a part of deliberation, correct?
Yes, you can.
Director Smith, you have a comment, question, or concern, or question of this body?
Yes, in reference to the conditions that you're approving, it sound to me like the applicant agreed to some type of elevation to be approved by staff. And I don't see that in this set of conditions. And I believe that that was discussed this afternoon, so it may not have been added.
It looks like it's number 10. Architectural design shall be submitted by shall be submitted to Planning and Community Development for review and consideration. Is that what you're speaking of?
Yes, and then yes, that is. And I have one other question.
Okay, go ahead.
In reference to the site plan, I believe it lists all of the amenities based on the presentation from the applicant. Should those be also listed in the conditions?
Okay.
That may be a question for the attorney.
Okay. Can you also go back to conditions, Mr. Alston? Okay, where's the site plan reference?
Number 9, where it says
indicate where amenities will be located via site.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, we might want to provide some clarity around that. Indicate where amenities will be located via site plan as presented by the applicant.
Yes.
Dated, and you can present that date.
Does that site plan have a date?
Oh, the data site plan.
Oh, it's small.
I can't read it.
Mr. Buckley, can you, is it possible to enlarge this at all? Okay, let's move over.
The date on the site plan, Mr. Chair, is December the 13th, 2021.
Okay. Okay, and Mr. Alston, continue to type. So dated December 13th, 2021, and presented at the regularly scheduled March Planning and Zoning Commission meeting on the date of March 17, 2022.
Mr. Chair, so that sounds like that's going to be a third motion to amend the primary motion. Okay.
It is.
2022.
Okay. All right. So Director Smith, thank you for bringing those things to our attention. And commissioners, at this time, I will entertain a third subordinate motion that would include the additions to the conditions as stated for number 9 and as enhanced for number 13, the conditions as presented by staff.
Mr. Chair, before you do that, I'm sorry to interrupt again. We did not get a vote on adding the secondary language.
Okay, so let me ask you, okay, so if this other subordinate motion, so we did not vote on that motion, which is on the floor, and the primary is still on the floor. So I incorporated the language in the second in this next motion, hoping that a commissioner would pick that up. But do you think that to keep it clean, we should go ahead and vote on the secondary and then go back and do another secondary?
Yes, I think you should vote on the secondary to add that to the primary. If that passes, then we'll have a new primary motion on the floor that amends staff condition number 3, and then go back and call for a motion for this additional language that you just typed about the site plan and add that to the primary.
So at present, we do have a motion on the floor made by Commissioner Presley, seconded by Commissioner Miller, regarding our secondary motion, which adds the enhanced language in condition number 3, If there are no other comments, questions, or concerns, I'll call the question. All in favor sound aye.
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 All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. We've now added additional language, enhanced language to condition number 3. Commissioners, at this time, I'll entertain the motion for, I'll entertain the language for a motion for secondary motion to add the language as presented for condition number 9 to our newly amended conditions.
Mr. Chair, I move that we, I'd like to state a secondary motion to the language for condition number 9 on the newly
amended conditions. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Lovett, seconded by Commissioner Miller, that this body will like to approve additional language for condition number 9 as just recently presented and discussed. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor sound aye.
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 All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. Now, commissioners, at this time, we'll go back to our primary motion. There's a primary motion that's on the floor that was made by Commissioner Miller, I believe.
Correct.
Seconded by Commissioner Lovett.
Correct.
Okay. That this body recommends approval of case number 2022 R as in Robert, Z as in Zebra -001-02. There are no comments, questions, or concerns. I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Mr. Chair,
yes.
It's the motion with the staff conditions as amended.
That is correct.
That was his motion, Mr. Miller's motion.
Yes, Mr. Miller's motion with the staff's conditions as amended. Made by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Lovett. All in favor sound aye.
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 All opposed sound nay.
Nay.
Okay, we have one nay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So the motion carries. We have one nay for this. Please make sure the record reflects that. And let's go back to the agenda, please. So Mr. Buckley and Mr. Mudd, this body will recommend approval, and that will go forward to Mayor and Council. Okay, Director Smith, any announcements?
I have none at this time.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have anything that's good for the body? As I have none this evening. Okay, Commissioners, at this time, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Lovett. Was that Lovett?
Yes.
That this body adjourns. Commissioner Love is rubbing her head. She's ready. All in favor sound aye.
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 All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The meeting is adjourned. Commissioners, thank you so very much for the work doing the people's business this evening. Thank you everyone for their patience. And Ms. Wiggins, thank you so much for your guidance on our secondary motions. And I bid everyone a great night and a wonderful weekend. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good night.
Good night.